Hi, and welcome to the July edition of Planetary Calendar. I'm one of the authors, Lahni DeAmicis, and Ralph DeAmicis is behind the camera, so if we forget anything, he can always put his 2 cents in from behind the camera. And of course, this is our lovely publisher, Carole Cherry.
Hello, hello. It's big July. We start off with the full moon on Canada Day on July 1st, getting ready for Independence Day.
Well, and it's interesting, this is one of those blue moon months because we've got a full moon on the 1st, and that almost necessarily means that the 31st is going to give us another full moon. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic that we'll get into in a little bit.
There you go. So
Yeah.
when they say once in a blue moon, it's time to clean that garage. Clean it once in a blue moon.
So either make other plans for the 31st or be ready to live up to the promise, right?
There you go. There you go.
So, Ralph does the forecasts. He writes the text on the forecast on the calendar, on the top of the calendar. And so I always like to kind of include him a little bit with kind of an overview or some little pearl of wisdom that he might say if he were on camera. But in this second paragraph here, he says, Mercury is moving fast. So things get done quickly related to business, communications, transportation, children, and siblings. Those are all Mercury-ruled things. And I wanted to read that at the beginning because it kind of sets the tone for the features of the entire month. It looks like those personal planets are really taking center stage because they're very strong, they're very cooperative, and those outer planets, by the end of the month, they all go retrograde, and they're so far away anyway that we really have to kind of concentrate on them to get a more global perspective. So July, almost appropriately so, is going to be a very kind of personal, family, oriented month.
And you aren't kidding. Mercury is in Gemini as we start the month. Enters Cancer on the 8th, enters Leo on the 23rd. So that's moving pretty quickly. Of course, next month, Mercury is going to get into Virgo. So work things and, more of our caretaking and responsibilities and things will get done next month. So don't, worry about that. Gemini and Cancer, it's kids and family. And then Leo is fun. This is your summer month right here in July.
Well, and we all bemoan about Mercury retrograde, and when it goes direct, of course, that's opposite of retrograde motion, but the true opposite of Mercury retrograde is a fast Mercury direct.
Yeah.
So kind of these things, transportation, communication, kids, they're going to be moving like faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very active month. This isn't one for, laying on the couch and catching up on, power watching your series on TV and things like that.
Well,
it's going to be up and out and moving and, quick. Also, Mercury is about sort of quick changes. So, plans could be very fluid.
Well, that's true, and most of the month won't be about watching TV on the couch until Venus goes retrograde on the 25th. Then there's going to be more chance of that sort of thing happening. So she's going to be retrograde through early September, and that internalizes our love and comfort energy, and it's a wonderful, relaxing time. But people aren't going out of their comfort zones too very often when Venus is retrograde. It's
well, and don't expect
a snuggly place
the woman in your life to be very direct about telling you about her needs or wants or likes or desires or things like that. And it's important to talk a little bit about Venus retrograde because Mercury retrograde gets a well-deserved bad rap. But Mercury is an energy that only operates outward. You can't communicate. Well, you can talk to yourself, but generally it's an energy.
When it's retrograde.
Generally, it's an energy that's directed outward, just like Mars is an energy that's directed outward. So when those 2 planets go retrograde, it's kind of counter to the way that they normally operate. Venus, however, is an internalized energy to begin with. It's much like, in the outer planets when Neptune goes retrograde. It's not problematic. It doesn't disturb sort of the orbit of everything because it's an energy that we're used to internalizing, whereas of the outer planets. When Uranus goes retrograde, that can be disruptive. So the Venusian energy, when you turn it inward, maybe you would rather stay in the comforts of your home, or maybe you would want to go to the places that you feel comfortable visiting rather than trying out a new place or something like that, because you're internalizing that already internal need for comfort and establishing the way you feel about yourself that makes you lovable.
You might want to be real clear about work choices at that time too. Venus is also about money, and it can be tempting to take a job that's something old, something that you're used to doing, but there was a reason why you left, and by the time Venus goes direct, you may remember that. So
that's a good point that you say. Venus knows where the money is. It's not like the primary money planet, but she's always got her hand on the purse strings. So.
Hey, a salesperson can't sell if he's not happy. So
that's true.
For the most part, you've got to be comfortable with your own life to be able to, be convincing in the outside world.
It's funny, Ralph and I do a lot of relocation work. People will get a job offer, say they live on the East Coast, they get a job offer in Texas, they get one in Seattle, and they want to know which one, they might be happier with without, jumping in with both feet. And so, or they just say, I'm tired of living in this area because of the weather or whatever, and this would be a good time for me to move. Where would I be comfortable? And everybody is always drawn to move to their Venus line. And we have to kind of tell them, if you're going to retire, then okay. But if you're still going to be working and you still want to, be productive and earn money and be connected to a community or something like that, you don't want to necessarily go to the Venus line. Go to the Venus line for a vacation, but don't live there forever, because it can kind of immobilize you in that,
I think I'm living on my Venus line here in California, and I tell you, I love living here in California. It feels very much at home. It feels like my people. I mean, feels like coming home, even though I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm loving it. Although my primary job is being a mom, and so that's that internal, gushy kind of lovey occupation that plus I work for myself, and things like that is something that I really like. So, it would be hard
Venusian right there.
It would be difficult for me to get up and go to a job every day, that sort of thing, but I love living on my Venus line.
Well, and that's a way for you to learn how to activate another planet in your chart too. You might have to say to yourself, oh yeah, my Venus is really taking over, I really need to do some Mars things and get my Mars working a little bit more strongly, or rely on those transits that give you that little impetus and that little push to use your Mercury or use your Jupiter or even use your Saturn to sort of overcome that self-indulgence that you might find yourself lapsing into on your Venus line. So.
Right. Well, so July is traditionally Cancer month, and that's because the sun is in Cancer to start, and for most of the month. Cancer is all about home and family, and we talked about this being the year of the goat, which is also a Cancerian energy, and so there's been a lot of Cancer energy popping up in our forecasts throughout the year so far. And here we have, Mercury is going into Cancer on the 8th, which further has us talking about focused upon family, joining the sun there. Again, when Mercury and the sun get too close, it can be hard to listen. So we have to think about that, particularly as the 23rd approaches, when that is exact, Mercury conjunct with the sun. And, sometimes it's us doing too much of the talking and not listening, and sometimes it's somebody else. And sometimes you can really spot it, like when you ask them a question and they start talking about something that has nothing to do. You got to say, oh, look, that's Mercury and the sun conjunct. Ha, catch you later, and come back and talk to them in a week or two when they can hear you, because they're not being rude oftentimes. They literally just can't. They're compelled to talk and are not so able to hear. So you want to be careful of that. And we have that lovely Independence Day weekend with the moon in Aquarius, and the 3rd just before it is a circle day with the moon in Aquarius. So that sounds like something fun. Do something interesting and new, something you don't usually do for the holiday weekend on Independence Day. And then the 5th, we have the moon moving into Pisces, which is an excellent time for planting. So that July the 5th, if you're looking for a time to plant some things, that's a great time to do it.
4th of July looks like come as your favorite signer of the Declaration of Independence Day character or something like that. Something
There
with
you
a
go.
little quirky twist there
Or
with all
take a
that.
drive to the city to go see the fireworks or something like that. Something that you don't
Exactly.
usually do, some kind of a surprise. I should also say that on the 5th, since it's between the full moon and the 3rd quarter moon, vegetables and things that grow underground will probably do the best. If you want to plant things that are above the ground, you might want to wait until the 24th, the 25th of the month when the moon is in Scorpio. Even the 23rd, but the 23rd has so much going on. It may not
But
get
it might be
done.
better than that black box 25th day.
It may be, but Venus is going retrograde on the 25th, and so what a great thing to do gardening, you know, I mean, and even planting the underground vegetables, although by then you want to do above ground vegetables, so yeah. But yeah, we've got 3 circle days this month. The 3rd and the 10th are both Fridays, and the 21st is also a circle day. That's the day before the sun enters Cancer. And we have 2 box days. Now remember, circle days are great days to start new things. Box days are lousy days to start new things, but they're really good days to finish up old things. And we have that on Sunday the 12th with the Gemini moon. And, you know, on that day too, we have the sun squaring Uranus. That might be a day where the unpredictability of the day could help you in some ways, especially with that moon in Gemini. A conversation, you know, a way to look at something is my feeling on that. What do you say?
Well, I'm kind of glad that the black box days fall on a weekend, not traditionally a day where most people are going to be starting new projects anyway. So, you know, as you say, wind something up rather than to start something new on that day.
And that could be anything. That could be a difficult conversation. It could be a home improvement project that didn't get finished with Mercury in Cancer and the sun still in Cancer. There's going to be a lot of energy on home improvement projects and staycations as well. But if you are thinking about getting away for during summer, some summer fun, you know, this is really going to be a very good month to be able to do that. You know, we even have the Delta Aquariid meteor showers happening at the end of the month on the 27th and the 28th. And that'll be right after Uranus turns retrograde on the 26th. So again, we talked about Venus going retrograde and Mercury going retrograde. Very similarly, when Uranus goes retrograde, that energy of change and liberation, invention, and freedom is turned inward. And it's a way for us to free our own minds, to free our own selves from outmoded habits or, you know, things that need to be addressed on an internal level. And so that's a wonderful time for that.
Well, and July just turns out to be the Venus-Mercury show. You know, Mercury enters Virgo, or Venus enters Virgo on the 18th. So Venus in Virgo is very, very different, you know, than Venus in Leo. So we'll have a little bit of a change there.
That's true.
Before she goes retrograde. So when she does go retrograde, she will be in Virgo, not in Leo, which is kind of better because in Leo, if Venus is going to shine and emanate, you know, she'll more likely to do that in Leo than in Virgo. So it's interesting that Venus goes retrograde on that black box day. So again, you know, you'll complete whatever you started on the 23rd or the 24th.
And I have to say, if you haven't had much luck with, you know, health resolutions, you know, that might be an excellent time to redouble your efforts as the Venus energy and feeling good and taking care of Virgo, as those energies kind of mix, you know. I mean, we may find some help with being able to limit our excesses, modify our diets, get the extra exercise and things that we need. You know, because the year goes on. I mean, this might be a lovely down month, but it's been a difficult year so far for a lot of us, especially after those eclipses. And there's going to be more eclipses and stuff afterwards, you know, so we really need to take advantage of that Virgo, Venus time, you know, to take good care of ourselves.
Well, and the month is going to seem like it's going to fly by. I mean, it's just going to be too short. And while Venus is in Leo, she's going to be sort of the organizer, the chairman of the entertainment committee, you know. And by the time Venus goes into Virgo, she's going to be thinking about back to school, getting ready for, you know, maybe saying, ooh, back to school, or maybe saying, oh, we got to go shopping for back to school, you know. But either way, if she's happy the kids are going back to school or whatever, that kind of an energy of getting back to your routine. So even if you don't have children, you know, getting back to the routine after having a little bit of a play break.
Right. And Venus stays retrograde until, I think it is September 8th. But by then, I'm pretty sure she's going to get, she gets back into Leo, retrograde. And then she turns direct.
On the 6th of September.
On the 6th. Fantastic. And so you're going to have that whole month to do that. And yeah, okay, there's back to school is a portion of that, and get the sales and the supplies and all of those things. But there's get back to rules, get back to the healthy diet, you know, no more cotton candy and hot dogs, you know, it's back to fruits and vegetables and things. And then when the kids do go, it's going to be back to yoga class for mom, you know, and back to, you know, the regular you know, walking or running routine and things like that. And really, by now we've all seen, you know, when we take good care of ourselves, we really do function much more optimally. You know, it's so much easier to keep our temper when we've had enough sleep. It's so much easier to be productive when we feel well, you know, when we've eaten properly, when we've gotten some exercise, you know. So you definitely don't want to miss the opportunity to take good care of ourselves during Venus retrograde time.
And not to give Mars short shrift in this lovely month of July. Mars is in Cancer the whole month.
And there you go, more Cancer.
So how nice is that the male energy participating in the family kind of prerogative, you know, imperatives.
Oh, how nice way to put that.
You know, so I really like that, you know, that energy of Mars in Cancer is nurturing. So the male energy gets a chance to be the nurturer as well, instead of, and scaling back a little bit in the activity department, in like the driving kind of get things done, or the impatience and all of that. So while Mars doesn't work classically very well in Cancer, it's a perfect time for Mars to be in Cancer to kind of support this whole picture that we're seeing, where the family, you know, where the local community is very, very highlighted for this whole month, rather than directing your energy outward into this sort of more global topics that might be a usual place for you to direct your energy.
Absolutely. And you know what Mars does in Cancer? It's home improvement projects. You know, when you're walking around the neighborhood and somebody's out there redoing their driveway, or getting the weeds out of in between the cement and stuff like that, you know, very often it turns, I mean, and it's not just one person, because it could be a transit for that person. But when you go and there's like 4 people on the block, somebody's putting up a fence, somebody else is painting, then you really get that feeling of Mars in Cancer. And so that's great. So many of you who have honey-do lists that have been waiting through the commotion of other
for that second full moon, that blue moon, where you can't say.
There you go.
Right, exactly. How appropriate is that?
Up
I
the
love
honey
the
day
universe.
list on the blue moon. That's ideal.
Exactly, with Mars in Cancer. Perfect.
There you go.
Typecasting even.
And
I mean,
on the 31st, that's the day that Venus enters Leo. And so shows up. Don't I get a kiss for doing a good job? He wants that pat on the back and the gold star and everything.
Kiss is great. How about a nice dinner, you know?
Yeah,
there
appreciation.
You go. Exactly.
You know, Venus likes to be appreciated just like everybody else. And when it's in Leo, it's that regal feeling. You really want, I mean, you don't literally want someone to kiss your feet, but you want that kind of feeling that someone loves you enough to maybe do that.
There you go. There you go. So we sort of glanced over some of the holidays here, but Bastille Day is on the 14th of July.
Yes.
For personal reasons, that has a sweet spot in my heart, but I'm not going to divulge that because I'm a Scorpio after all, and I have to keep my secrets.
There you go.
But, so the Canada Day is the first of the month, and then we have our Independence Day, and then there's a Baha'i holiday, I believe.
Pioneer Day, one of the rare Mormon holidays, is happening on the 24th also.
Exactly.
And again, the Delta Aquarid meteor showers.
On what date?
On the 27th and the 28th. We're also going to be seeing, if you're a TV viewer, you will be seeing a lot of maybe Christmas in July time. You know, it's very amusing. QVC started this years ago. Christmas in July, a reason to start moving the Christmas stuff really early, and it does seem to have caught on in many places. So
I have to say, I used to be finished with my Christmas shopping by the end of August, and I prided myself on that.
I was by September like twice, and that was really good.
And then I met this wonderful man whose idea of Christmas shopping was the perfect Christmas Eve activity.
There you go. There you go.
To include hot chocolate and leaving the gifts to be wrapped while you go to get the hot chocolate and then go back and pick them up and
there you go.
Sail away in your sleigh. So I have been trying to get back to my organization down to a sickness kind of a, but it hasn't been working.
It's funny, I almost got you your Christmas present last week. I saw something and I said, oh, that would be so great. I could get my Christmas shopping started this early in the year. That would be so amazing. I resisted. I didn't do it.
It's funny that you say that because I have ideas already for people on my list. So we're on the same wavelength. The sun enters Leo on the 22nd, which the number 22 is always a fun day with that numerological considerations for that. So it changes sign on the 22nd. So then we go into Leo. So
and then the very next day, Mercury enters Leo also. Now, this is a golden time for our Leo friends, you know, because Jupiter is still in Leo, and he's only going to be in Leo for a short time. He's going to be leaving next month and heading over to Virgo. So with the Sun and Mercury and Jupiter all in Leo, and then Venus even enters Leo on the 31st. So that first week or so of August is going to have an awful lot of wonderful
Leo.
Astral energy, having Leo at the back there, you know. So really, you definitely want to
fun in the
see
sun.
what you can do. You know, take a chance. I don't often say that, but you know, Jupiter in your sign is a lucky, lucky time. And it only happens once every 12 years. And especially those who are late born in Leo, Jupiter's real close to your sun, you know, so that's a lucky time. You know, take a chance, go to the casino, you know, take that blind date, you know, I mean, whatever it is, there's something that could be really magical and lucky for our Leo friends at this time.
Well, and of course, not just for Leo friends, but when Venus and Jupiter are in the same sign, that can tend to be lucky for everybody.
Yeah, and lucky in love and lucky in money. And right now we've got that Jupiter dancing with Saturn, you know, making, and with Uranus as well, making alternative ways to make money, really have sort of the edge over traditional ways. So again, I'm thinking, you know, take a chance, you know, try that wacky business venture. I mean, if you can couch it in sure, safer terms, start it as a part-time job while you keep your real job. I mean, I'm not saying throw everything out or anything, but I mean, if you have the chance to take a chance, I recommend you do. That's a good time.
Well, and sometimes there are ventures that have a degree of risky factors involved with it, and if nobody ever took that chance, we wouldn't have inventions, we wouldn't have new developments. And so to find a time when it would be sort of supported by the universe to look at those kind of riskier, or I mean, maybe risky is not the right word, but those things that, you know, normally you'd be a little bit reluctant to do. Certainly make your plans, do your due diligence and all those things, but, you know, you know, if you've got that Batwing flying suit or the, you know, teleportation device or something like that that's been knocking around in the back of your mind all these years, and I mean that, you know, figuratively speaking, you know, this is the time to kind of find the support system to make that happen.
I agree. And I'm not saying, you know, now's the time to become a stunt man. It doesn't have to be, you know, personal risk or anything like that. But something
they're
unusual.
not going to do that with Mars and Cancer anyway.
Something unusual. Well, there you go. And with Mars and Cancer, it does come into the idea of home-based business. You know, something that you can do on the side, something that you've always wanted to do. You want to make those arts and crafts products and try to sell jewelry, or you wanted to start a home real estate business or sell Tupperware or Pampered Chef. You know, there's so many opportunities.
I was just going to say, maybe that risky thing is just working for yourself and creating your own business. And these home-based businesses that have a relationship to health and hearth and home are maybe one of those opportunities that you might want to think about pursuing.
Exactly. And something like Party Light with the candles, the flame, the Jupiter, the Leo, you know, or Pampered Chef, you know, the home cooking and things like that. I mean, these might be just the sort of things that could really take off for you and make a huge difference for you in the future, you know, but we often need to take the chance, invest the energy, invest the time to give it a shot.
Exactly. So, on this 17th and 18th, when Venus enters Virgo, she conjuncts the royal star Regulus and is ennobled by this contact. We haven't talked about Regulus. Regulus is 29 degrees of Leo.
The heart of the lion.
It's the heart of the lion. And I think that there are many things that can signify or be signified by this, but giving you the heart for something. It's a very heartful time. This is a literal connection. And I find that people are more generous,
courageous,
optimistic, courageous, you know. So
romantic.
I think we're going to have a lovely July. I am very prepared for a lovely July, and it bleeds into the beginning of August so perfectly, so that the kids will have a great hurrah before we send them off.
I agree.
To school.
Next month, when the Mercury gets into productive Virgo, you know, we're going to see more. So relax. You know, the time to work is coming. Relax. Enjoy your summer July.
That's something to think about, that transition from Leo mode,
yeah,
playful, into
school
dutiful, working Virgo. So make sure that you take that transition time to make that as easy for the kids going back to school and as easy for yourselves to transition back from vacation mode and summertime mode back into the regular workforce mode.
So that's the news that's
fit to print.
For your July 2015. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us. You can find out some more information at www.planetarycalendar.com or spaceandtime.com. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. Planetary Calendars.
Yeah, Twitter, all the social media.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
A fun time with everything in Leo.
There you go.
Have fun. And we'll see you again next month.
Bye.